The ashen tree stood alone in the center of the forest, its pale bark glowing faintly under the moonlight. It was a tree unlike any other, ancient beyond measure, its twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The villagers in the nearby town of Gray Hollow spoke of it only in whispers, warning children to stay far away. They said the tree was cursed, a gateway between worlds where the dead could cross into the living. Those who ventured beneath its limbs often disappeared, swallowed by shadows that no one else could see. When a group of friends, Lena, Mark, Sarah, and Tom, decided to explore the forest and uncover the truth, they had no idea what awaited them beneath the ashen tree. The sun was setting as the four friends gathered at the edge of the forest. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, and a chill ran down Lena's spine as she stared at the pale silhouette of the ashen tree in the distance. "Are we really doing this?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark grinned, trying to mask his own unease. "We've heard the stories our whole lives. It's time to see what's real." Tom adjusted his backpack, loaded with flashlights and supplies. "I don't believe in curses, but I don't want to get lost either." Lena nodded. "We stick together, no matter what." They stepped beneath the canopy, the forest swallowing them in shadows. The usual sounds of wildlife were absent, replaced by an oppressive silence that pressed against their ears. As they approached the ashen tree, the air grew colder, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. Lena reached out to touch the bark. It was cold and rough, but beneath her fingers, she felt a strange vibration, a heartbeat, slow and steady. Suddenly, a whisper echoed through the branches, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Leave, before it's too late." The friends froze, the weight of the warning settling over them. But they had come too far to turn back now. The whisper lingered in the air, a chilling echo that seemed to seep into their bones. Lena pulled her jacket tighter around her, her eyes scanning the twisted branches of the ashen tree. The pale bark glowed faintly, casting eerie shadows that danced like specters in the fading light. "We should listen," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "Maybe it's trying to warn us." Mark scoffed, though his usual confidence was shaken. "It's just the wind. Trees make noises." Tom shone his flashlight up into the canopy, but the beam was swallowed by darkness. "Still, I don't like this. Something's not right." The friends moved closer to the base of the tree, where the roots twisted and gnarled like the fingers of some ancient creature. The ground beneath them was soft, almost spongy, and faint footprints, too small to be human, pressed into the earth. Lena knelt down, brushing away leaves to reveal a circle of stones, half buried and covered in moss. Strange symbols were etched into the rocks, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. "Look at this," she whispered. "It's some kind of ritual site." Suddenly, the air grew colder, and the shadows around them deepened. The whispering returned, louder now, a chorus of voices speaking in a language none of them understood. Mark grabbed Lena's arm. "We need to get out of here." But as they turned to leave, the forest seemed to close in. The trees shifted, their branches twisting into shapes that blocked the path. The shadows stretched and writhed, reaching for them with unseen hands. Panic surged through the group as they realized they were trapped. Lena's voice was steady despite the fear. "We have to face whatever is here, together. The friends linked hands, forming a circle within the stone ring. The whispering grew louder, swirling around them like a storm. From the darkness emerged a figure, tall and cloaked in shadow, its eyes glowing with a cold, blue light. "Why have you come?" the figure asked, its voice echoing like the wind through the trees. Lena swallowed hard. "We want to know the truth. We want to end the curse." The figure's gaze pierced them. "The truth comes at a price." The shadowy figure's glowing eyes bore into the group, its presence both terrifying and mesmerizing. The whispering voices faded into a heavy silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves in the cold wind. "The curse you seek to end," the figure said, its voice like the crackling of dry branches, "was born from betrayal and bloodshed. To break it, you must face the darkness within yourselves." Lena swallowed hard, gripping the hands of her friends tighter. "What do we have to do?" The figure extended a hand, and the air shimmered. Suddenly, each of them was pulled into a vision, a fragment of their deepest fears and regrets. Lena found herself standing alone in a burning forest, flames licking at her feet as she searched desperately for a lost loved one she had failed to save. The heat was unbearable, but she couldn't look away. Mark was trapped in a maze of mirrors, each reflection showing a version of himself consumed by anger and hatred. He pounded on the glass, trying to break free. Sarah wandered through a foggy graveyard, hearing the voices of those she had wronged, their faces twisted in sorrow and accusation. Tom stood on a cliff's edge, the wind howling around him as he faced the moment he had chosen to walk away from a friend in need. The visions were vivid, painful, and inescapable. Back in the clearing, the friends gasped, collapsing to their knees as the figure's voice echoed once more. "To break the curse, you must confront your shadows and find forgiveness for yourselves and each other." Lena looked at her friends, tears streaming down her face. "We can do this, together." The figure nodded, its form beginning to fade. "Then begin." As the shadows receded, the friends rose, their resolve strengthened. The ashen tree loomed above them, its branches no longer menacing but watchful. The journey to break the curse had only just begun. The forest around them seemed to breathe, the oppressive silence lifting just enough to allow the friends to hear their own ragged breaths. The ashen tree's pale bark glowed softly, casting a gentle light on the circle where they stood. Lena wiped the tears from her eyes, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. "We have to face our fears. We can't let them control us anymore." Mark nodded, his jaw clenched. "I'm tired of running from who I am." Sarah took a deep breath. "Then let's do this, together." One by one, they stepped forward into the center of the stone circle beneath the ashen tree. The air thickened, and the shadows around them deepened, swirling into shapes that reflected their visions: the burning forest, the maze of mirrors, the foggy graveyard, the cliff's edge. Lena faced the flames of her guilt, feeling the heat, but refusing to turn away. She whispered the name of the person she had lost, forgiving herself for what she could not change. Mark shattered the mirrors with a cry, breaking free from the reflections of his anger. He vowed to change, to be better. Sarah knelt among the ghosts of her past, offering apologies she had never spoken aloud. The faces softened and the fog lifted. Tom stepped back from the cliff's edge, reaching out to the friend he had abandoned in his memory. He promised to make amends, to carry the weight no longer alone. As each friend confronted their shadow, the ashen tree's glow intensified, the pale bark shining like a beacon in the night. The shadowy figure reappeared, its eyes now warm and kind. You have taken the first step. The curse weakens. But the figure's voice held a warning. The darkness will not yield easily. You must remain united. The friends clasped hands, their bond stronger than ever. The ashen tree's branches swayed gently, as if in approval. Together, they would face whatever came next. The forest around the ashen tree seemed to pulse with a new energy, less oppressive, but still charged with ancient power. The friends stood in the clearing, their hands still joined, feeling the strength of their shared resolve. "We've faced our fears," Lena said quietly. "But what now? How do we end this for good?" The shadowy figure's form shimmered, becoming clearer, a woman, her face both beautiful and sorrowful. The curse was born from a betrayal beneath this very tree. To break it, you must uncover the truth buried in the roots. Mark frowned. "The roots? You mean literally?" The woman nodded. "Beneath the ashen tree lies a secret, a sacrifice made long ago to bind the darkness. You must find it and set it free." Sarah swallowed hard. "How do we find it?" The woman extended her hand, and the ground beneath the tree shifted, revealing a narrow tunnel winding down into the earth. "Go with courage," she said. "The darkness will test you, but your light will guide the way." The friends exchanged determined glances and stepped into the tunnel, their flashlights piercing the cold, damp darkness. The air grew thick with the scent of earth and decay as they descended. Strange carvings lined the walls, symbols of protection and warning intertwined. At the tunnel's end, they found a small chamber. In its center lay an ancient altar, stained dark with age. On it rested a rusted dagger, its blade chipped but still sharp. Lena approached cautiously. This must be the sacrifice. As she reached out, the shadows in the chamber stirred, coalescing into a swirling mass of darkness. The air grew cold, and a voice hissed, "You cannot undo what was done." But the friends stood firm, their hands clasped, their hearts united. Lena lifted the dagger and plunged it into the earth beside the altar. A blinding light erupted, filling the chamber and spilling into the tunnel. The darkness screamed, then shattered like glass. Outside, the ashen tree's bark brightened, its branches reaching toward the sky in a triumphant arc. The curse was broken. The blinding light from the altar faded slowly, leaving the chamber bathed in a soft, warm glow. The oppressive weight that had hung over the ashen tree in the forest lifted, replaced by a gentle breeze that whispered through the leaves. Lena, Mark, Sarah, and Tom emerged from the tunnel, blinking against the fresh light of dawn breaking over Gray Hollow. The forest around them seemed alive in a new way. Birdsong returned, and the rustle of small creatures filled the underbrush. The ashen tree stood tall and proud, its pale bark shining like silver in the morning sun. The twisted branches no longer seemed menacing, but graceful, as if the tree itself was breathing a sigh of relief. Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. "It's over. The curse is gone." Mark nodded, a rare softness in his voice. "We did it, together." Lena looked up at the sky, feeling a peace she hadn't known in years. The forest can heal now, and so can we. As they walked back toward the village, the shadows of the silent forest faded behind them, replaced by the promise of new beginnings. And beneath the ashen tree, the earth pulsed gently, a heartbeat of life, light, and hope.